Hello, welcome back to our CSCI 380 web programming and interface design. Okay, so right now you already have some idea how to building the HTML page, and then also we try to create the API server. Okay, so the next is that okay, how can we factor data, and then when the fully common terms, like we will know what's the jQuery. Okay, so how can we then why do we need to know it, and then what's the features and syntax of it, and quickly we'll go through see some examples. Okay. Before we move in, so we have some question right here thinking for the JS. Okay, some question syntax. Let's say if for 2 plus false and is it greater than 2 plus true. So do you think like if we put in this one, what's the possible result? Do you think like JS can handle it? So actually it will give it a false because what? So this one actually is like more like a true or false like condition. Okay, so it's like okay, where true or false. Okay, so and then even though it's like greater than, so it's nothing going to match. So it's just like being false. So it's a pretty right here. So you were thinking how we going to really actually just counting as a number. Okay, so we have like true for 0. Okay, so it's 1. Again, true is 1. So that's why. And then you change to the like the non-equal sign. Okay, so that's why it's like the results that 2 is not greater than 3. So that's why it's false. Okay, so you need to be careful how we handle the JS syntax. And let's say if we create the array, okay, so how about the array? So right here we have the new array and then 5 items, right? 5 elements. And then if we have the function called toString, then what we're going to output, then it should be empty. Okay, so because we're going to put it as a toString, that means we're going to print all the elements inside this array. But however, this array is empty array, so that's why we just have a comma that print that out. So this one is the toString doing. And if we have the function, okay, so we create the function, and then we have the it's like called the foo, and then we have the alert function, and then this one is a condition like it's like foo equals the foo. Okay, so when we call it, so what's the output? So do you think it's true, false, or like reference error? And actually, this one when we compare within it, so it will giving a true answer. Okay, so we can able like to check it. So just like putting it, okay, and then we can move our main topic. So this one's jQuery. Okay, so actually we use a lot. Even if you look at some HTML source code, you'll see we have the using jQuery to fetch data. So it's a JavaScript library, so it can like really simplify the JS programming. Okay. It's kind of like easy to learn. So we're using the CSS syntax for selection. Okay. Right now you may be still not yet really familiar with CSS. With this we're going to cover later. Okay, but when you see some sample code, then you know the some sample syntax of it. So it's like pretty similar for the syntax for selection, and it's the popular one. Okay, we use a lot. So most using a JS library on the web. Okay, today. So in that time it's a 30% of all the sites with the JavaScript using jQuery. Some of them they're using a lot. Okay. And based on the Stack Overflow, like 2023 survey, there's a 22.87% developer that is still using it. So it's pretty common. So even though there are some like called the old school techniques or whatever, you see they're still available online on the internet. Okay, so on the website. So that's why. And this is the third most like popular web framework. So they're using, and also most like start like with repos, okay, on the GitHub. Also, it's like cross-browser like compatibility, okay. And what's the features we can do like using the jQuery? Okay, so one is the DOM element section. If you remember the DOM, right now, if you remember in the previous lecture, we talked about the like 3 levels, okay, of the DOM, and then the DOM like transversal and then modification. Okay, it's supposed to CSS like 1 to 3, and also the DOM manipulation. So based on the CSS selectors, if we remember how can we using IDs or something we access by class. So use the node element name. So the node element attributes ID and class, we say, or something like event. If you remember the, like on change, on click, okay, or this, also some event or like animation. And also the jQuery, like also provide some several methods of like agents, okay, functionality, okay. And also the extensibility, so we can add in some like plugins. And it also supports cross-browser in different browser, also support jQuery, okay. Then who going to use it? So right now you see lots of the website. So both are pretty common, like Google, Amazon, IBM, Twitter, all these. Okay, you just need to know. So that's why you say it's really common. Even nowadays, the developers still using it. And what's the benefit? jQuery is like kind of easy to use and also easy to understand. And the core library there like comparatively small. Okay, kind of less than 50 kilobyte. And then the statements are shared just try to like write less and then do more. So it's more like a JavaScript library. But what is the cost? We need to think about that like for the jQuery is like kind of hard to use it with the OP, the object-oriented program, and also the jQuery supports like the plugin, but all these plugin they're not verified. That means that it's dangerous. Maybe it will be the backdoor like being injected. Okay, and also it's just a library. So when we need to use the jQuery. Uh, And also this jQuery, this is not the only tool like in Tibet. So we have other options like in Dojo's toolkit, the Yahoo user interface library, and the Mutu or like JS, all this. But still, I say jQuery is the most popular one. And just like telling like from the jQuery website, so it just emphasized. So jQuery is fast and then consists of JavaScript library is simplified. Okay, so when the HTML documents like when they traverse, even handling, animating, or like the agents interaction, so that will be the for the web development. So all this. So jQuery is designed for change the way. So you wait to write the JavaScript. Of course, right now when we're using the React.js, maybe not like really same, but part of the lecture, and then it's really popular. So you still need to learn how to use the jQuery. Okay, it's like pretty easy for the jQuery. So we can the browser like need to load the jQuery, so import it, and then we can use it the DOM. Okay, and how can we make sure that the JavaScript or Java code is like ready to run? Okay, maybe when you import it. So basically we can look at, so when we wrap all the Java code within the document, so there's a ready function. So when we writing in this one, so we have the dollar sign showing like, oh, okay, which document, okay, and then dot ready, and then we can write the function, then we can inject the jQuery code right here. So that's how it looks like. Okay. If you look at the source code of some HTML page website, if you see certain part of the source code look like this format, then it's using the jQuery. So that's what you need to know. So what happens if we don't like check if the things stay ready? So what happened like that? So just the thing, it doesn't work. Okay. So 90% of time it might like throw an error. So if we didn't check like put it correctly, okay. Or sometimes it works, like maybe the page loads or next page load and then fail. So we never know. Okay, when we fail, okay, we got the error. Okay, this is a mainly tricky part for a website. Okay, maybe we can access some part of it. You're able to see it, okay, partially, or you couldn't access anything, or after you access several pages and then you suddenly crash. Okay, so you never know. So it's unreliable. And what's the concept of jQuery? We talk about it like what's the white symbols. So we start with the dollar sign with a function that is the jQuery looks like, right? So when we try to create an element, okay, we say on the fly, this is dynamically. So when we create, let's say element, then we can use the dollar sign with a bracket. Okay, that's how we create it. Then we have the div like this. Okay, it's a dev tag. Okay, and of course, if we need to touch or work with the let's say the windows, okay, the width, then we can always manipulate the existing DOM element using the dollar sign function. So if you see some syntax in this way, then you know it's a jQuery, okay? And or if you want to select the document element and then you want to hide it, then of course the sign and then double quote the def hide or like the P, okay, paragraph element, this tag, okay, if you want to hide, yeah, of course you can do it. So of course right now we are not using it in our VF project, but just have some idea, okay? Or we need to create some function. If you see the first one is the ready function, okay, so we name it a function, and with the curly bracket, so everything called right here will be the statement, so we can call it when the document is ready for the programming. So make sure we can do it in this way. And then when we need to load the jQuery, right? So when we need to load it, so we can just use it when you load the library. Okay, so just a script and adding it the JS like jQuery.js, or you can using the some available like resource link. So you have different way you can download the jQuery files, or sometimes you can use the link so you can see a source. So sometimes maybe the Google API or Microsoft AJ's library. So all these can contain the jQuery file. So you can define which version you're going to use. Okay. So sometimes we minimize jQuery, so it don't care about the scene the layout, okay, the structure. So it just like try to narrow down, make it smaller of the file. Okay, you see .let mini. Okay, so right here with the file, how can we load the jQuery file? Okay, so then we can um, download it and then see. If you're interested, always feel free to go to the jQuery and then check it. Okay, and I will show right here and let's see. Switch to the, let me share this one. Okay. So here would be the link of jQuery. Of course, you can download it anywhere. So you can have a samples or something, get it from other the external resource link. So either way will be fine. So it depends on you. Okay. Let me switch back here. And then how about you ask like sometimes we load the jQuery or some script like JS, you put it on the top, okay, the head, or sometimes you put it in the bottom. So you need to know. So if the load script at the bottom, so we ask like when the script they're downloading the then they will block everything else like in the Moses browser. Okay. So for good practice, we need to load the script at the bottom of a page so they didn't interrupt the page content downloads. Okay, so this one will be better. So the order of script are load and then use that methods. So remember it in this part. And jQuery syntax, so it's like tailor-made for selecting the HTML elements and then perform actions on the element. So it's like kind of funny using syntax. So let's say the basic one, okay, syntax, if we have the dollar sign, right, if you remember, so we can define the jQuery, then we have the selector with a bracket. So right here, you can have a query of an HTML elements, right? And then what's the action? So it's some action performed on the element. If you remember, it's the ready or high, okay, all this. And if you want to select all the selectors, okay, so find everything, then you can use that extra. So right here, the selector right here, we turn the pseudo array of the jQuery elements of them, okay? And if we want to search by tag, we say the tag, right? So right here, like this, div, okay, dev, or by the ID. So we're using the pound sign, okay? So ID, or if we want to search it by class, so that's why it's the CSSI level 1, 2, 3. And we can search it by the class menu right here using dot, okay, dot and the menu. So there's a 3 different way to find it by the status. And so far you will see in the script, so like HTML head right here we're loading, so we have the script, maybe we will import it from the AJ's Google APIs. Okay, so this one is the jQuery, and then we have the $sign right here. So we want to access a document. So once they're ready, so what's the function? So we're going to get it. So the $sign right here, we want to access the tag P paragraph. If there's a click, okay, so when we click on it, then this is pointing the paragraph. We're going to hide it. Okay, so here's all the function. So if you click on me, so I will disappear, right? So when you were here, so when you click on it, just like click it. Okay, when you click it. So if you're interested, you can try to copy this code and then try to execute it. Then you can experience what the jQuery looks like. Um, so you may try. Copying this part. So if you want to follow, you can pause and then copy and then try to execute it. And so far right here, because we have different tabs, right? Let's say we have a paragraph follow and then we have a function. Okay, when we create a function, what's the function? So we for the element tag, so will be P, the paragraph. Okay, so we're going to add a class for the powerful. So when we add this one, then we can in the result we can add a class named powerful. Okay, right here called hello. Okay, so here's the jQuery can do. Okay, and or sometimes if we want to adding have a note. Okay, for example, like function is right here and then curly bracket and whatever. Okay, so it kind of the shorthand of the document dot ready and then the function. So just like because either way it will be fine. Okay, so you can put it really if you remember the structure. Okay, so with the level one, so how can we access from the root? Okay, from the documents. Okay, so we can make it as a shorthand, so you can use a function. Okay, sometimes we see that we're writing in this way. This is more common. So it's the way we write the jQuery, and also the selector right here. So let's say we have the like the P or the div, okay, or sometimes the ID, okay, or the class. Okay, so just remember how we're going to like access it and then using double quote. Okay, and then if we need to remove a class, okay, so if using the jQuery right here, his example, we've removed the class, and then you can like originally this a class and it will change to empty. Of course, we can add another new class name. So it's the way we can do, or sometimes if we want to hide or show the def div tag, so we can actually show, okay, right here. And in the beginning, we can like write something like style display. Okay, because none, and then after that, if we change show and then display, change the block. Okay, so it will go into show up. Okay, so like this. Okay, and or sometime if we work on the IDs. Okay, so we're going to access it. So right here will be let's say the ID bomb. Okay, so we're going to change the like text blue. Okay, so what color? So originally we say what color with the ID. So once we execute the jQuery, so we will change it. The ID will be the same, but this time we change the text to blue. So this way we replace it to blue. Okay, so pretty similar idea. So we use the jQuery to interact with the content, but when you using the React.js, also we can access it. That's what we learned in the previous lecture. Okay, so we have the interact with the DOM. Okay, how can we access to the elements, okay, tag, and then how can we change the content? Okay, let's say what's the value, what's the text, or we can change the fonts, all these similar ideas, but different way. Okay, but this time we're learning is the jQuery, or like what's the chaining. So more like we can like chain most of the method together, so we can add together for the paragraph. We can add a class called cat and then change the text to hello and then change to show. So we're going to show it out. Okay, so all this is a chain. So we're going to telling there's some method. Let's say I want to show the hidden element. Then we can show like wrap it. So we can wrap the element. Okay, they always come with the pair, right? So we need to wrap it. And also the what's the parent. Okay, so we want to select what's the parent's node. Okay, so what's the this the paragraph will be the parent, or sometimes if we want to get or like set the inner HTML. So if you remember, inner HTML will be the inside tag or the contents, or like if we want to get or set the values, we can like do VAL, okay, right here. So there's pretty common methods we can be used, okay, for the jQuery. And there's a lot right here. There's some matrices you can see, okay, because we are not really using for our VI project, but there's another type we need to learn, like for the web programming, okay, so you need to know, but we are not using it, okay, so at least you need to know how to read, okay, when you look at the source code of a website, then when you see they're using jQuery, then you should able to know like what are they doing, okay. And of course, there are some like other plugins, like there are other plugins like jQuery.com, so it can give us some powerful features. We can add some animations, other effects, or UI components, okay. So if you're interested, you can go to take a look, but it's not compulsory for you to use or like we're not going to use it in our VA project, okay, just need to know. And kind of like last question we're going to ask, like what's the correct letter if we want to hide all the paragraph elements, this a tag, so what should we put? Should be P, right? So you know, so then we can hide everything. And then what's the way we can do, like if a jQuery method return text content, okay, so what's the text content? If you remember, what's that, like the def, so what's the text? That it should be the text itself, right? So if you remember, so far we just go through the jQuery, so kind of like some basic syntax, some idea, and then it's a popular like using even nowadays. And it's an essential syntax and all those like methods we're going to use, and then you see some examples, right? And you need to know, but it not really apply on our VI project, just reminding you. So at least you have some basic idea, and then you know how to read it. Then that's enough. And thank you so much.